Help! There's a bloody man in the back alley of Westminster Abbey. Him. He's Prince Harry. The trembling voice came out of the mouth of a night taxi driver whose body was soaked in rain and whose eyes were fixed on the body of the black-clothed man lying unconscious. The light of a dim street lamp reflected in a puddle, clarifying the wound on the prince's temple. The steps of the shoes rattled closer. The roar of the patrol car engine was faintly heard from a distance, but time seemed to slow down. The sky of London that night was like a cracked mirror hanging over a world full of secrets. Rain was pouring down the city mercilessly when Raka Wijaya, an Indonesian immigrant who had been a taxi driver for 6 years, stopped due to an unusual flashing yellow light at a dark intersection near Westminster. What he didn't expect. His life would change completely in the next 20 minutes. He stepped outside because he saw a strange silhouette behind a narrow alley, and that's where he found it. A man lay, his face covered in blood and his black suit torn at the shoulders. But what makes Raka surprised is not the wound, but the face. It's very familiar. "Oh my God," he whispered, his breath quickening. "That, Prince Harry." When Raka tried to help, the sound of metal clinking from the back of the alley made him turn his head quickly. There was a fast, moving shadow, and in a split second, he felt something pass over his shoulder, a sharp object stuck into his cab door. She had no idea who had attacked her, or why Prince Harry could be lying half dead in such a bleak place. But he knew one thing. This was no ordinary accident. In the midst of the chaos, Raka drags Harry's body into his taxi and takes him to the hospital without thinking. During the journey, Harry's low voice was heard. "Don't tell anyone about the code." "What code?" asked Raka, panicked. Looking back for a moment, Harry was unconscious. Internal conflicts began to arise. After handing Harry over to the hospital and telling the police that he was just a passing taxi driver, Raka returned to his small home on the outskirts of Southwark. But that night, he couldn't sleep. The words "don't tell anyone" echoed in his head. He knew he had to report, but something held him back. Not out of fear, but out of curiosity. And maybe because something in him felt this was an opportunity. New threats and tensions. In the morning, he found his cab completely broken, tires slashed, windows broken. No trace of the perpetrator. But in the front seat, someone had left something. A black card with no name. Only a thin gold inscription. "Thank you for saving him. We're watching you. Please be ready to accept the offer." Raka stared at the card for a long time. His hands were shaking. The stomach feels nauseous. But along with it, there was a crazy feeling that crept in. Some kind of passion, some kind of hope that had been asleep all this time. He didn't know who we meant. But he feels that, for the first time in his monotonous life, he has just opened the door to a world bigger, and perhaps more dangerous, than he could have imagined. The phone's ringing. Unknown number. "Hello." The voice of the strange man on the other end sounded calm, but cold. "Mr. Vijaya, are you willing to listen to the offer from the kingdom?" The lights in the room were dim, as if deliberate to create pressure. Raka sat on a black leather chair, surrounded by 3 men in dark suits. Behind them, a large screen shows Prince Harry's face while in hospital. Unconscious, guarded by 2 armed officers. Raka doesn't know if he's being interviewed or interrogated. "We know everything about you," said the man in a flat voice, "including why you quit civil engineering college in the final semester. Also about your wife who died due to hospital negligence." Raka's heart felt bruised. "What do you want from me?" he asked in a hoarse voice. Point 1. The court is faced with a choice. The offer was clear: to be part of a secret royal operation that was investigating the incident of the attack on Prince Harry. But this is not an ordinary position. Not a driver or a guard. They want Raka to infiltrate to become an unexpected eye in the center of a network of information and betrayals involving even the closest people of the prince. "We believe the attacker came from within. And we believe you. Quite unimportant not to be suspected." That sentence struck Raka's self-esteem. But he also knew that was the painful truth of his life. No one ever really paid attention to him. And now, for the first time, he became part of a big story. Point 2. Internal conflict. Returning from the meeting, Raka came home, with a black envelope containing a contract and temporary access to an apartment in the Chelsea area. He saw a reflection of himself in the mirror, a disheveled taxi driver, but now stood with fear mixed with hope that he asked himself, "Am I really doing this because I want to help? Or just because I want to feel good?" The memory of his wife, sorry, appears in flashbacks. His voice, his laughter, even his last word in the hospital bed. "You have to be more than this, Rack. Your life is precious, even if they say it isn't." That's an old wound that hasn't healed. And maybe this is the way. The next day, he received a uniform, a formal suit with a small emblem that was not used by ordinary royal staff. He is also given express training, face identification, code of conduct, and ethics of silence. Prince Harry's condition is not stable. But when Raka accidentally peered into the back of the intensive care unit, he saw her open her eyes and said softly, "Raka, don't trust anyone." Harry's body was forcibly moved by the royal nurse, and Raka was pushed away before he could ask any further questions. But the sentence stuck inside. Someone is starting to follow the herd. The image of a man in a fedora appears twice, at a bus stop and when Raka comes out of the store. Raka also found a small note in his bag, an unfamiliar handwriting. "Don't get involved. He's not who you think he is." What does it mean for Prince Harry? Or was it the royal organization that recruited him? At the same time, he discovers one more thing, a hidden camera inside his apartment. "Don't move, or you'll die as a shadow." The voice of the man in the alley hit Raka like a wave of ice. The gun was raised. His face was almost identical to Prince Harry's, only harder, colder, and with a transverse scar on the right temple. Raka stood stiffly. "Who are you?" The man looked at her without blinking. "I'm Henry." The twins buried. 1. The truth that has never been revealed. Henry is not hallucinating. Not figuratively. It's real. And he brought a dark story from inside the palace, about how he and Harry were actually born twins, but only one was publicly acknowledged, Harry, because there is only one throne, and only one image can live in the eyes of the world. Henry was sent far away, raised in secret under the watchful eye of the Royal Intelligence Unit, said to guard the bloodline. But the reality is much darker. He was brought up as a spare substitute, even a psychological experiment. Then, he disappeared. And now, it's back that I don't know who to trust. But Henry said something he couldn't ignore. "The accident wasn't because of me." That's a message. And you're in the middle of it now. 2. We are faced with a moral dilemma. That night, Henry simply disappears, leaving Raka in the alley with his head full of question marks. When Raka returned to the apartment, he found someone had unpacked its contents. Nothing is missing, except for one, a note from the hospital where his wife died. That file shouldn't be there. He never lived in London. He realized someone deliberately showed him, as if to shake or remind. Why now? What does the death of his wife have to do with all this? Am I just a tool? Or have I been trapped since the beginning? 3. The emergence of new figures. The next day, Raka was summoned to the palace. But those who met him were no longer the people in black suits as before. This time, a woman with silvery hair and a long maroon suit greeted him. Her name is Lady Amelia Fairfax, the protocol chief of Royal Intelligence, known for her brutal intelligence and ability to sniff out betrayal from a kilometer away. "We know you met him," she said flatly. But the question, what did he tell you? The record escapes. But Lady Amelia looked him straight in the eye and then said, "He was talking about twins. You should know that's a lie. Henry is dead. I burned the body myself. If you step in, there's no turning back, and everything you know will change forever." "I don't want to kill you, Rachel. We just want to know, who gave you access to the Level 3 code?" Raka hung upside down from the ceiling of the sterile white room, hands tied in chains, blood dripping from the temples. A man in a white coat with a crown emblem on his chest approached, not a policeman, not a guard, but a scientist. Behind him, a large screen showed Henry's face, and sorry, point one. Trapped in the heart of a conspiracy, after receiving a video showing Prince Harry dropping himself, Raka tried to escape from the apartment. But the road is guarded. A woman with a necklace in the shape of a rose points it with a shock device and whispers, "You have to look at the third-floor room yourself. Raka, trust us, or you'll die a fool. He passed out. When he woke up, he was already inside the underground Windsor compound, a place that most of the royals did not even know about. The walls are matte black, doors without handles, advanced biometric technology. He was taken into the space of the Genesis capsule, where experimental projects were maintained for decades. This is where the truth begins. Point 2. Mirror Monarch Project and Cloning of Royal Offspring. Raka was given access to see the digital archive. The name of the project, Mirror Monarch, a secret program aimed at creating a human reserve for the royal line. Henry is a prototype, the result of genetic modification of the same uterus. It is stronger, faster, more stress-resistant, but not psychologically stable. We can't control it, said the man in the Intel uniform. So we erased all traces of it. Or, we think so. On another screen, Sari's face appeared. He was part of the Civil Integration Program, an experiment allowing one of the reserve subjects to live in the normal world with a partner from outside the system to see the possibility of biological and emotional adaptation. And her husband is Raka. Point 3. Emotional outburst and denial. You're lying. Raka struggled, hit the screen, his eyes were red. Sari is not an experiment. She's my wife. We love each other. But the voice from the intercom was quiet, and we never said your love was fake. Precisely because of that, he succeeded. But he died of cancer, not cancer. That systemic disconnection. Because she's pregnant. Raka was hit. He didn't even know Sari was pregnant at the time. Point 4. A tempting offer, and terrible, Lady Amelia appeared on the holographic screen, her face cold and elegant. Raka, we would like to appoint you as part of Team Osiris, a unit of drivers and special agents who secure alternative lineages around the world. It's a dream job, isn't it? He said sarcastically. The world will think you're just a driver, but you will keep a secret more dangerous than nuclear. He looked at the mirror in one direction. Behind it. Henry looked back. His face is full of wounds, but his eyes were full of another wound, loneliness. Point 5. Final betting episode. Before Raka could answer the offer, the alarm went off. Emergency lights are on. Lady Amelia screaming from the monitor. Henry ran away. Seal all exit lanes. But it's too late. Explosions were heard from upstairs. Sirens thundered. From the corridor, someone entered and pulled Raka from the chain. It turns out, I'm sorry I'm late. That's Henry. We have to go to Sari's grave. Tonight. Before they erase everything. You said he was dead, but you never saw what I saw that night in the hospital. 2 bodies were found inside a coffin that was supposed to contain only one person. And both are not Sari's. Point 1. Escape from the Windsor complex. Henry and Raka escaped from the underground Windsor complex through an ancient waterway used by royal servants hundreds of years ago. The sounds of drones and sirens still echo from afar as they leap into the river below Tower Bridge, staggering in the chill of a London night. Henry brought one thing, a pendant that Sari used to always wear. He gave it to me. After being declared dead, Raka, exhausted and confused, was only able to ask quietly, "What do you mean, he's still alive?" 2. Heavily guarded cemetery. The next night, they sneak into Ravshana Hill Cemetery, where Sari is buried. But something feels strange. 2 armed guards patrol with dogs. Infrared camera. It's not like a normal funeral. Who guards the cemetery with military intensity? Whispered Marcus. Henry simply replied, people who know who exactly is buried. They managed to get in after creating a local power outage. Henry opened Sari's coffin, and that's when Raka's world completely collapsed. Point 3. Contents of the coffin. 2 bodies instead of one inside the chest are 2 bodies, an old woman without a clear face and a young man with a scar on the neck. Both were wearing hospital uniforms. But none of them are Sari. Raka trembled. His hand fingered the inside of the chest and found traces of scribbles of nails. I'm not dead. I'm up. But they don't want you to know. Henry sculpted. His eyes began to glaze over. I saw it. Luke. He woke up 5 minutes before the breaker was activated. What do you mean, the breaker machine? A device that cuts off the lives of experimental subjects if they are too human. 4. Raka begins to suspect everything. The question arises. Was he chosen in the first place? Was his love for Sari part of the experiment? Why did his job as a taxi driver lead him to Prince Harry? Henry gave the last clue. There is one person who knows everything. Professor Elston. He created Project Mirror Monarch. Where is he now? He disappeared 3 years ago. Last seen in Indonesia. 5. Cross-country hunting begins. Raka and Henry decide to go to Indonesia, where Sari used to say she came from. But before they can leave England, they are confronted by someone claiming to be Dr. Amara Lin, former student of Professor Elston. I know you're looking for Sari, but you're in the wrong place. If not at the funeral, then where is he? Dr. Amara looked up at the sky, her face tense. He's not in this world anymore. Him was in hibernation lab number 6, and they'll move it to the final location in 48 hours. At the end of the episode, Raka receives a mysterious message via email with the subject, "If you love him, don't look for him, or you'll kill him with your own hands." But Raka could not stop. He looked at Henry and said, "If I have to fight with the whole kingdom to find Sari, then I will start from first blood tonight." And Henry replied with one sentence, "Good. Then we will go to the place where everything came from, Lombok." The island has been off the map since 1997, for one reason, so that no one would know that man could be resurrected. Just as the plane landed in Lombok, the pilot disappeared from the cockpit. The plane stopped, but the door never opened. Point 1. Flights to home island. Raka and Prince Henry board a private plane secretly chartered by Dr. Amara Lin. She carried a sealed British royal document, an old photograph of Sari with longer hair, and an old map that had been scribbled in black ink. The island where Sari was born no longer exists in modern navigation systems, but biologically he is still attached to her. Raka began to lose control. He no longer knew whether Sari was a human being, a creation, or something in between. Point 2. Incident on the plane. In the middle of the flight, the cabin lights went out. A loud noise came from the cockpit. When Henry tried to get in there was no one. The pilot is missing. Automatically, the plane landed itself on a remote island, not Lombok, but an island that is technically not listed. Pulau Damar is missing. Point 3. The island that holds the other version of Sari on Lost Damar Island. Raka and Henry find an old laboratory that looks like an abandoned building. But inside, the lights are still on. The computer is running. Antiseptic aroma piercing. And in the center of the main chamber, there are 5 giant capsules. Point 4. Empty capsules. Point 1. Capsule is still active, displaying a slow heart rate. Label name: Serinda/MKLX UNIT status. Hibernate deep FREEZ. Raka trembled. He's alive. God, he's really alive. 4. Professor Elston's diary. They find audio logs from Professor Elston. The experiment with Serinda was successful. Subject showed empathy, love, and a sense of loss. But that was our mistake. He's too human. And now, she wants to get back at someone. He called it Locke. The record is crying. All the memories came back. Sari's hug, her little smile as she looked up at the sky, the way she held back tears as she said goodbye. Point 5. Dr. Amara betrays them just when Raka was about to open the Sari capsule. Dr. Amara pointed a gun at them. His expression turned cold. You think it's all about love? It is the most expensive biotechnology in the world. Sari is not yours. He's ours. Henry tries to persuade her, but Amara presses the red button on his wrist. The juice capsule begins to fill with new refrigerant gas. We will transfer his memory to a new body. A body that doesn't remember you. 6. Fight in the laboratory. Henry attacks Amara. Brutal fights erupt. Meanwhile, Raka runs to the control panel, trying to stop the capsule cooling. Roaring warning sound. Reactivation of the memory system in 90 seconds. Data loss of personal memories cannot be undone. Raka shouted, crying while hitting the glass panel. Sorry. Remember me. Remember what we went through. Before the last second of memory erasure, Sari opened her eyes slowly. He stared at the glass. His hand moved weakly towards Raka, and with lips almost frozen he whispered, Ka. Mu. Driver. Taxi. It's. If you really know me, why don't I know you? Sari opened her eyes, but her gaze was blank. He looked at her as if she were a stranger. Point 1. Resurrection without memory. Silent laboratory. Henry lay unconscious after the fight. Dr. Amara has gone nowhere. And in the middle of the room, the capsule opened slowly. Floating smoke. From inside, Sari stepped out, but they are different. The movements are stiff. His face was perfect, but his expression was blank. Raka stepped forward with teary eyes. Sorry, you know me, right? I'm Raka, the taxi driver you used to help, Who? Sari tilted her head, confused. Taxi driver? Is that some kind of agent? 2. Sari is not the same. He no longer speaks in a warm voice. His hands reflexively maintain distance. Even when Raka tried to touch him, he calmly refused. You're too close. I have no data on you. The record is silent. You don't remember? The rainbow on the rooftop? The movie we watched in the backseat of a taxi? That song you sang when it was raining hard at the old bus stop? Sari replied flatly. I have never experienced such things. 3. Stolen memories. Raka scoured the lab for clues. He discovers a neuronic memory storage device in the shape of a small metal ball, hidden inside a vault. Inside it is stored a file with the label Serinda_PRE001_pers.exe, the entire recording of Sari's personal memories before being reset. But the tool to open it can only be accessed with Retina Dr. Amara. Raka realizes something. In order to return the old Sari, he must confront Amara once again and steal back Sari's soul from the woman who has lost her humanity. 4. Henry reveals the truth. Henry finally came to his senses, despite severe injuries. He reveals that this project is actually an ancient British royal experiment that was once stopped by Henry's mother, Princess Diana. He tried to close the Revive project, which was considered too dangerous. Amara was the last scientist of the project, and she wanted to bring to life a world that was without loss. A sterile world of sadness, even if it has to erase love. 5. Crazy mission. Kidnap the soul. Raka and Henry devise a plan. They must go to the Revive Network Control Center, which is under the sea, near international waters, precisely at a secret base called Node 0. Sari refused to go. I don't understand the reason for your emotions. I'm not part of this. Raka approached slowly, then whispered softly, but you were, and I believe, in your heart, which even a machine cannot touch, you were still there. Sari is down. There was a slight crack in his gaze. 6. Irrevocable decision. Raka stared at the night sea before boarding the small boat that would take them to Node 0. Suddenly, slow steps were heard. Sari appeared with a small backpack. You want me to come, because I am him. But I'm coming, because I want to know who I am now. Raka only smiled slightly. That's enough. Sari. En route to Node 0, Henry receives an emergency message from a dark satellite path. The Queen of England issued an ultimatum order. Raka must be handed over alive, or the Revive project will be turned on full scale and the world will lose the concept of death forever. Raka looked at the sea with eyes that now no longer just want Sari back, but the world needs to be saved from an infinite resurrection. You think you saved him, Raka, when from the beginning, you just woke him up. A red light flashed across the steel walls. Sari sculpted at the side of her other version, confined in a transparent tank, breathing and crying. 1. Node 0, the base of all resurrection. Their journey through the Black Sea to Node 0 was not just a voyage. It was a transition between the real world and a world that had already lost the line between humanity and technology. Node 0 stands below sea level, hidden in a fog of sonar and satellite signal networks. The giant metal structure is like a digital tomb for failed human dreams. When Raka, Henry, and Sari arrive at the main room, they are greeted by a synthetic voice. Welcome back, Dr. Serinda Putri. Full access is granted. Sari was silent. Mark stared at him. What does return mean? Have you been here? Sari held her head. Faint voices began to reverberate in his mind, but he could not fully capture them. 2. Old version of Cider, life in a tank in the space of the Consciousness Storage Center. They found a scene that broke hearts. The transparent tank contains a blue liquid, inside of which Cider. Sari version before reset. His body slept in the dark, but her tears were dripping. If he's here, who am I? Whispered Sari now, who was standing next to the tank. Henry explains that the version of Sari in the tank was the perfect backup before her personality was erased and implanted back in her present body. But when the backup is done, fragments of emotions, love, and trauma are also stored. Now the two versions cannot be combined except with fatal consequences. 3. Amara appears. With a last offer. Dr. Amara appeared through a large screen hanging from Node 0's ceiling. His face was pale. He looked tired, but his eyes lit up with madness. Raka, you can bring him back. But you have to choose. An old version, full of wounds and love, or a new version that's perfect and never hurts you. We can live in a new world, where people do not know suffering. I can give you work, power, even immortality. But you have to get rid of the memories. 4. Raka rejects a world without wounds. He looked at Sari. One stood beside him, confused by his identity. One fell asleep in a tank, carrying all the memories, fear, love, and pain that ever existed. He holds Sari's hand now. If I had to choose, I would choose to cry. Why? Because the one who can cry can love. 5. The war at Node Zero. The decision sparked Amara's anger. Node Zero locks down the entire system. Drones began to attack. But Sari, the current one, turned against the system. He unlocks his own past memories from fragments in a backup server. Slowly, his human side reappeared. She was crying, for the first time, with Henry directing the firewalls from the control room and Raka fighting against the guard robots. They finally opened the old version of the Sari tank, but as they approached, the body in the tank slowly melted, becoming data. But not disappear, but merge. The two are now one. But he fainted. Still unstable. As Node Zero slowly collapses due to a system malfunction, Henry realizes there is secret data locked away. It can only be unlocked with Raka's DNA. He handed me a small file that read, Raka_Sigma_core/classification, Royal Override. Henry looked at Raka with a serious face. I know this is strange, but from the beginning I was suspicious. Raka, who are you? Because your DNA matches the system of the British Empire that even I can't access. The record is silent. From afar, sea sirens began to roar. Troops approaching, but not to save them, rather than securing a lost royal legacy that turns out to be bloody Indonesian, if you're really his son. Why do you live like a shadow? Raka raised his hand slowly, surrounded by armed forces. But his eyes weren't looking at them. He was looking at an old photograph that had fallen from Henry's file. In the photo, she is a baby, carried by Princess Diana. 1. The DNA that shook the world. The file Henry retrieved from Node Zero was not an ordinary file. It was an old protocol called Royal Override. It could only be unlocked with a specific genetic code from the direct lineage of the British Crown. And as it turned out, of all people, only Raka managed to open it.I. In the file it is written, name, Locke Alexander Spencer, status, classified anonymized air genetic code, matching Diana Frances Spencer. Henry and Sari stared at Raka. He looked devastated, even fainted for a few seconds. When conscious, he sees his own world collapsing and being reborn at the same time. 2. Sari remembers everything. The combination of two versions of herself makes Sari now have intact memories, before and after the reset program. He remembers who Raka really is and why he can never know. You are the child of an unrecognized relationship. Diana hid you. Because if the world finds out, they will destroy you, Raka. Sari used to be part of the team that was asked to save Raka when Diana was killed. He disguises Raka's identity, erases digital records, and even creates a narrative as if Raka is the son of an ordinary couple who died in an accident. 3. The conspiracy behind Princess Diana's death. Henry explains that Diana's tragic accident was no ordinary accident. He is on a mission to smuggle data about a royal mind control experiment, Node Zero being one of them. Diana never agreed to the experiment and tried to bring the information to the public, but before that could happen, he was dead. And Raka, who was then a baby on a trip with the diversion team, miraculously survived. 4. An offer from the palace. Suddenly, through a holographic call that appeared in the air, King Charles III himself appeared. Raka, if you want it, the spare throne is yours. I know who your mother is. I know who you are. The world will accept you, if you're willing to erase your past. But Harry's voice followed, appearing from behind. But you are not a child of the throne, Raka. You are a child of love. Don't let them kill who you are just to crown you. Raka stands between two worlds. His blood is the key to power, but his soul is that of a simple man who just wants to drive a taxi, love, and live freely.